US President Joe Biden wrapped up his first day in the UK after meeting with Prime Minister Boris Johnson. NTD's Christina brings us the stateside perspective on Joe Biden's first trip abroad as president and the US-UK special relationship.
President Biden met with UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Thursday, and the two nations affirmed their special relationship. They signed a revamped version of the Atlantic Charter, which was first signed in 1941 by then-President Franklin D. Roosevelt and Prime Minister Winston Churchill.
With a revitalized Atlantic Charter, updated to reaffirm that promise while speaking directly to the key challenges of this century: cybersecurity, emerging technologies, global health, and climate change.
It's of massive, massive strategic importance for the prosperity, the security of the world, for all the things we believe in together: democracy, human rights, the rule of law.
As a part of the charter agreement, travel restrictions between the US and UK will be lifting, but not quite yet. They will create a task force to explore different options on how to reopen. After the G7 summit, Biden will meet with NATO leaders and then Russia's president to conclude his trip. Christina, NTD News.
Germany's vaccine regulator is not recommending the use of the Pfizer vaccine for those aged 12 to 17 without pre-existing conditions. It cited a lack of data on long-term effects.
Germany's Vaccine Advisory Committee, known as STIGO, recommended on Thursday that only children and teens with pre-existing conditions should be given a COVID-19 vaccine by Pfizer. STIGO says it recommends a jab only for those youngsters with an illness that raises their risk of a serious case of COVID-19. One committee member cited a lack of data on the long-term effects. Germany began offering jabs to minors on the 7th of June. Some experts see inoculating children and teens as a critical step towards reaching herd immunity. Other experts point out that children rarely develop severe symptoms and don't play a significant role in spreading the disease. Giving vaccines to younger people in affluent countries, while many parts of the world lack doses for vulnerable people, has raised concerns. The EU Commission last month authorised the Pfizer vaccine for children as young as 12. And last week, the UK's medicines regulator approved the Pfizer jab for 12 to 15-year-olds.
Berlin theatres and operas are open again, but only in front of limited crowds with negative COVID tests. To perform without restrictions, the Berlin State Ballet tried something new. On Thursday, they showed off their skills on a boat in Berlin Centre. The excursion boat moved slowly down the River Spree so that everyone on the banks could watch. The troupe performed pieces from Swan Lake, among others. And in other news, eateries in France can once again serve guests indoors. The country is one of the world's great culinary capitals and is working to recover from months of pandemic-induced closures.
After nearly 8 months of closure, familiar aromas and lots of noise returned to the kitchens of the Le Train Bleu restaurant in Paris. The French government has given restaurants the green light to reopen their indoor dining rooms as of Wednesday, June 9th.
It's great to see the team again because for most of them it's been since last October, nearly a year since we last saw each other. We need to get back into a routine and put back a bit of drive here because it's such a great house that performs well, and we'll have a better idea tomorrow in hopes that clients will be present.
Restaurants were ordered to close at the end of October last year when France was facing a second wave of the pandemic. Cafes and restaurants resumed serving customers on their terraces in May, but indoor seating wasn't permitted. Ahead of the opening, head chef Samir Balia made sure everyone was ready to serve patrons again.
Tomorrow we'll be eating loads of interesting things. We have a summer menu. For example, we have a starter with octopus, sauces with spices from the east.
The historic Le Train Bleu opened in 1900 and serves fine food and wines. In the dining room, manager Cyril Gibon was also keen to welcome the first guests. He says the waiting has been difficult for him.
We're excited to see our clients again, excited to find life again in the dining room and the kitchens, to hear clients chat away, to give the right instructions to the waiters, and just to do our job. This is true joy.
Restaurants in France can only half fill their indoor seating until the end of June, when full capacity will be restored. Diners are also allowed to stay out later, with the local curfew pushed back from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m.
The fourth set during the semi-finals at the French Open was interrupted by the organisers due to COVID restrictions, a decision some spectators protested. NTD's France correspondent David Vivez has the details.
The first night session match at this year's Roland Garros tennis tournament was troubled with an unusual scene. Tennis star Novak Djokovic had the match on his racket at 3-2 on serve in the fourth set. The audience was then ordered to leave in line with Paris's 11 p.m. COVID curfew requirements. Some of the 5,000 fans there would not accept the decision and began shouting, "We have paid, we have paid." The organizers then decided to evacuate the players to force the remaining audience out of the stadium. The players had a 25-minute pause, waiting until people had gone, but Djokovic said he would have preferred to stay.
We had to find the motivation because we lost the energy of the public, and it was a very, very difficult match until the end for both of us.
France's government plans to progressively lift its COVID restrictions. Parliament member Martin Vonner says despite pushback from the people, the French Parliament has no way to bend the government's decision.
We had a curfew at 9 p.m., then it was 10 p.m., then 11 p.m. This was never addressed in Parliament. We're not even sure whether it's effective against the epidemic. We don't know what it's good for.
There's said to be no national curfew by the end of the month. David Vives, NTD News, Paris.
Researchers in Russia published a paper about an organism that survived being frozen for 24,000 years and just came back to life. A microscopic animal known as a Deloid rotifer has revived and successfully reproduced after 24,000 years in the Siberian permafrost. In a paper published on Monday, researchers in Russia emphasized the importance of this discovery. They said, "Our report is the hardest proof as of today that multicellular animals could withstand tens of thousands of years in cryptobiosis, the state of almost completely arrested metabolism." Once thawed, the rotifer began to reproduce by cloning itself. And in other news, 5 Arctic wolf pups were filmed frolicking in a wildlife park in Belgium recently after their mother gave birth to them in April. The Caves of Han Wildlife Park in Belgium are home to a pair of wolves, Jerry and Kisa. The female Kisa went into the den alone on April 17th, and when the keepers visited a few days later, they spotted 5 new pups, 3 females and 2 males. This video shows them playing together while enjoying the sun under the watchful gaze of their parents. According to keepers, the cubs and the mother are healthy and doing well. If you are watching on Sky TV 190 or Freeview 271, we have some news for you. For Monday, 13th of June, NTD UK News will broadcast at 9 p.m. That's the news for today, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Stuart Leith.